Mic check. 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 Give a few more minutes before we get started. Mic check. Mic check. I don't know if my mic working. Let me know if my mic working. Miss Sheila, can you hear me? Hello, how you doing tonight? Can you hear me? You know if my mic working. Can't get a mic check on my end. Give me a mic check. Okay. Cool. Gonna go on and get started then. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the P-Ave Perspective. I'm your host, Mr. O'Neill. And as usual, the P-Ave Perspective is where we build people, we build families, we build marriages, we build communities. And most of all, we build legacies. First of all, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching a live stream or whether you're watching a replay on YouTube. I appreciate you taking the time out to spend an hour with me, a couple of minutes, depending on how long it lasts. But I hope everybody had a great week. Hope everybody have a great weekend. And again, I thank y'all for tuning in. But as usual, tonight, we having a mature conversation. We got to talk about something real. And even though it's not a trendy topic, it's not a viral topic, it's a necessary topic. Tonight, we talking about what happens when a woman has experienced physical, mental, and emotional abuse from a previous male partner. And that trauma follows her into relationships, marriages, whatever. But first of all, before we get started, before we go any further, I want to say, first of all, that this episode is not about blaming women. It's not about excusing abusive men. It's not about that. And it's not about shaming or disrespecting people who have survived trauma. Believe me when I say this. I love my sisters. I would never disrespect my sisters. I am a brother. I am a son. I am a friend. I am a cousin to so many beautiful black women, to the point where I would never take it there. But it's about the truth. It's always about the truth with me. So we have to talk about it. This is something that affects me as a man, and I know it affects other real men. And that's women bringing trauma from past relationships, past abusive relationships, into new relationships. And unresolved trauma, it does not disappear. It transfers. It follows you from one relationship to the next. And if it's not healed, it often transfers into every new relationship that you get into. And sometimes into marriage, sometimes into, committed relationships. It follows you. And like I say, when a woman has experienced abuse, real abuse, not just a bad relationship, but physical harm, emotional manipulation, mental degradation, it does something deeper than just hurt. It does something deeper than just hurt her feelings. It rewrites her whole nervous system. And I had to do my research on this to really figure it out, the problem, to try to help with solutions, because that's what we all about on this show. But abuse teaches the body that love is unsafe, that closeness is dangerous, and that conflict leads to harm, that dependence leads to control. So her body adapts, and these adaptations that once kept her alive usually hurt her, in future relationships. And that's things like hypervigilance. And hypervigilance is a heightened state of awareness that makes you feel like you constantly under threat. And you constantly, have to be on guard. Emotional shutdown. Emotional shutdown is usually a response to overwhelming emotional pain or prolonged stress. Control behaviors occurs when a person attempts to force another person to conform to their own needs or desires through some form of manipulation. Attachment anxiety. Anxious attachment is an insecure relationship style characterized by a fear of abandonment and rejection with a strong need for reassurance and support. And it basically testing your loyalty. Women, they feel like they have to test your loyalty and they don't trust it. But these are not personal flaws. They are not personal flaws, but they are survival mechanisms that these women learn in order to cope with those type of relationships. But here's the tension. Marriage and relationships, serious relationships, require emotional safety, vulnerability, cooperation, trust, and the trauma from abusive relationships usually make those things feel unsafe. It really feel unsafe for a woman. And it's hard for her to give those things. Because like I said, the trauma from those abusive relationships, they last. So when you get a safe man or you get a safe husband who's married to a woman whose nervous system is still preparing for war, that's where the struggle begins. That's where the struggle begins. And we have to figure out, what the business is. We have to talk about what the business is, because in order to have healthy relationships, we have to understand it. And honestly, like I said, I have sisters, I have dealt with women, and it's like, the truth is, so many of our women in our community have went through this type of stuff and they haven't gotten over it. They haven't gotten over it. It made them stronger, but it made them, like we usually say, build up walls to protect themselves. And then when guys come along, and it could be good guys, like they are so protective and usually so damaged that we really can't do nothing about it. We really can't tear the wall down. And, it really destroys a lot of relationships. I don't know if y'all went through that or had to deal with that, but it does. But let's break it down, though. Difficulty trusting a safe man or a safe husband. Say, for instance, he comes home on time, he communicates, he provides, he shows the consistency that women want, but she still struggles to relax around him. She may assume that he's got hidden motives or he's up to something. She expects him to betray her because dudes in the past have done it. And she may test him unconsciously to try to figure him out, or try to see what he all about, or try to figure out if he's there to hurt her. Not because he's done something wrong, but because betrayal once came from someone who said they love him. From a man who said, I love you. And her body remembers that. Her body won't forget that. And sometimes her body reacts before her mind catches up. And marriage cannot thrive where trust never fully exists. It can't happen. It can't happen no matter how hard they try. But hypervigilance during conflict, man, let's talk about disagreements. In a healthy marriage, you're going to have disagreements. Conflict is normal. But if in her past, when she's had conflict with other guys, it led to yelling, intimidation, physical harm, humiliation. Then when she gets with a new man or she gets with a new husband and he just raised his voice or corrects something she did wrong or tries to express to her that he's frustrated about something, her nervous system it scream danger. It screams danger. And she gonna react. She may overreact to the tone of your voice. A lot of women shut down. They have that shutdown mechanism where they shut down, they don't want to talk. Some of them explode and go off. Go off, want to argue, cuss. Some may panic. You know, I've seen the panic attacks or just freeze up out of fear. It just depends. But afterwards, you know what I'm saying? She may feel shame. She may feel apologetic. But as a man, that's the most confusing thing in the world. That is the most confusing thing in the world because real men are trying to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? And it's just the fact that she's overwhelmed. And a lot of women, so many women, like, especially our women, they're used to being so strong and so not showing weakness to the point where a lot of them can't even talk about it. A lot of them, like, we've been taught that the stuff that we go through and the stuff that we deal with, and like I said, the stuff that we went through growing up in our environment, we've been taught that it's normal, and it's not normal. It's not normal. So all of this stuff is not normal. This is not something that you can deal with. And like I've talked to some of my elder women who say you just need to pray. Sometimes prayer is not enough. Sometimes prayer is not enough. It's like a real mental and emotional issue. And like I said, it's so serious. But in those situations, it's not even about the current argument most of the time. Just like I said, it's not nothing I said or the man said. It's not nothing he did. It's not really his tone of voice. It's about the old trauma, the old relationship and what happened in the old relationship. But you get to a point where, honestly, the relationship, dealing with that too much, the relationship, the marriage or whatever, it becomes exhausting. As a man, it's nothing more exhausting than every situation or every disagreement turning into an argument. But a lot of us don't understand that woman is reacting that way because she's in survival mode. And like I said, I've been in that situation and I'm like, you tripping, it's not that serious. But I never understood that it is that serious. It is that serious. But emotional walls are built up. You got struggles with intimacy and keeping it real. Relationships, real relationships and real marriages thrive on emotional exposure. But trauma in a woman makes her build up an armor or build up a shield to protect herself. And she's unable to be vulnerable with her man. She may avoid deep conversations. She may deflect when things get too intimate, emotionally, physically. She may disassociate. She may even feel unsafe, you know, when you're close to her, you're trying to love on her and touch her. You know, she may have a low desire, not even want to be touched, not even want to be loved, not even want to be held. Or A lot of them may go too far and use intimacy and sex for validation instead of a real connection. It's just so many levels. And as a man, as a husband, a lot of times we end up thinking she don't want me, she don't love me, all kind of crazy thoughts. When the truth is, she just don't feel safe inside herself. And that's different, but it it greatly impacts the relationship so much that it'd be hard to get past it. It'd be hard to get past it. And some women in that state, they try to control the man, they try to control the situation. They scream independent and a man can't tell them nothing. They don't need no man. And that's because that abuse that they went through, it steals their power. So unresolved issues usually say never let anyone have that much control over you again. Never let somebody, manipulate you. Never let somebody, and that's even when it's not a manipulative or a control situation. But it's like that's what their mind and that's what their body tells them because they've been programmed. So in those instances, she may, like I said, fight back when you know what I'm saying. She thinks a man is trying to control her. She may struggle to cooperate. You know what I'm saying? We always talk about building and we always talk about, but a damaged woman that struggles in that aspect should never be able to build with you because how can she build with you if she don't trust you? And like I've seen so many women who don't really know that they suffer from this type of stuff and haven't addressed it. And they'll you meet them and you're like, hey, I'm trying to find a woman I can build with. I'm trying to find a woman, and they all with it because in their heart, they really want a man who they can build with. They really want a man who can love them. But mentally and emotionally, they're not even equipped to accept it or deal with it. But it's the thing about it is, it's not negative, it's not rebellion, but it's protection. They protecting themselves. Let me check this out, see if I got any comments. Hello, Miss Sheila. Hello, Crab Queen. Appreciate y'all tuning in. But like I said, man, relationships are a partnership, and partnerships require mutual influence. They require both parties to be able to talk to each other, both parties to be able to listen, to understand, and not respond. And if everything feels like a power struggle, it will destroy your relationship. It will destroy everything that y'all trying to build. And that's one of the bad things about it. Like, you have to get over this before you can move into and start trying to build a healthy, happy relationship. But it messes with, make them feel shame. It make them question their self-worth. It distorts their identity and how they see themselves. And a lot of times they get to the point where they feel like they damaged, or like they say, I'm doing too much, or I'm not enough. And it's like the worst is to get to the point where they feel like they don't deserve to be loved. And it's like it reflects in a relationship. So usually in those situations where your man and your husband is trying to show affection, a lot of times they don't even know how to receive it. And the worst thing that a man could endure is trying to love a woman and realizing that she's not respecting it, she's not receiving. and she may push him away. She may get to the point where she's trying to please people too much, over pleasing people. She may stay stuck in guilt, and at the end of the day, he can't help but feel rejected. He can't help but feel like it's something I'm doing wrong. It's something I'm not doing right. You know, it just erodes at him as a man. But the real battle is with her, and it's internal. We'll never see it, and we'll never understand it a lot of times. But marriage can't heal what someone else refused to confront. If a woman is not really confronted, if a woman is not willing to admit that she has a problem, it's nothing he can do about it. It's nothing he can do about it. Like, believe it or not, we are not therapists. We are not psychologists. So I've been in those situations where it's nothing we can do about it. It is nothing at all we can do about it, because a lot of times, like I said, we don't even understand what's going on. I had to go do my research on it because I've dealt with it so much. And like I said, I went above and beyond to try to love damaged women. And like I said, it don't work. It does not work at all. But let's be honest. If this trauma, if this pain goes completely unaddressed, over time, you're going to see emotional distance between those people. You're going to see chronic conflict, getting into it all the time. You know, you're going to see communication breakdown, where you get to the point where you can't hold a real conversation, because every time you bring up a real topic, you will trigger something. Every time you try to address something that's real, or you trying to address something that you feel like is wrong in a relationship, they feel directly attacked. And just like I said, that triggers something. You eventually start building up resentment, resenting the other person. Your intimacy started eroding, and get to the point where you're not intimate no more. You don't want to be around her no more, you know, and you start losing trust. The trust in the relationship start weakening. And we already know, when trust is not there, and when all these things happen and these things get out of hand, only one thing can come next. That's breaking up, divorce, or worse, disaster. And it's not because she doesn't love you. It's not because she doesn't love the man. It's not because she doesn't love her husband. But it's because survival mode takes everything out of it. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It'll take everything out of it. And marriage cannot thrive, or relationships cannot thrive, where one partner is fighting ghosts and the other partner can't see what she's fighting and feeling like she's fighting him. It can't work. It can't work. It won't work. But like I said, let me say this too to the men. In these situations, brother, in these situations, I had to learn this. But compassion is everything. Compassion is everything. But discernment is necessary too. Before any serious commitment now, really, because I'm realizing this, I had to realize this on my own. But before we can get into or look to get into serious relationships, the one thing I stress is the fact that so many of these women feel like this is normal, because they've never been told that it's a problem. From, you know, my mother has dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? I know my sisters have dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? I know women I've dated in the past have dealt with it. Their mothers have dealt with it. Their grandmothers have dealt with it. And it's just like, you just have to be strong. You have to pray, and you have to do this. And it's like they really don't understand what's going on, and don't really understand that they suffer from serious and mental and emotional issues. So as men, we have to start really checking these women, man, before we get into these relationships. We really have to start doing our due diligence because, like I said, a lot of times I tell people all the time, you have people walking around here that functioning every day, laughing, loving, and everything, and like you would never see what's really going on with them mentally and emotionally until you are in a situation where you are her man or you are her husband and it's triggered. And by then it's too late. So we have to do better as men in trying to identify what's going on with them before we get into relationships. So we have to start really checking. And when we start checking, we have to start looking for things like, does she take accountability? Can you talk to her about something and tell her when she does wrong and she accepts it? Because if not, if she's argumentative or don't want to be accountable for her actions, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem that is a sign of something deeper. Is she actively trying to heal? Has she identified what she's dealing with and actually working to heal herself? Can she regulate during conflict? Can she seriously hold a conversation with you without getting mad, without, erupting, without getting emotional? Is she in therapy? Because once a lot of women that identify the problem, they realize that they need help in solving it. Is she in therapy? Is she trying to work on herself? Is she showing emotional growth? Like we have to really start asking these questions and really start checking on this. You know what I'm saying? Because if not, like I said, it's so hard to see. It's so hard to see. And just like anybody, men and women, we are so good at hiding our trauma. We are so good at hiding our problems. We are so good at hiding the stuff that we deal with and keeping it from the people because we don't want people to see that side of us. We are so good at it, but we have to really check to see is she open? Is she vulnerable, willing to be vulnerable? Or is she always on guard? Is she's always looking for the attack or she's always looking, for the negativity? Because I'm not gonna lie, I've been in situations with people and I've been in relationships with women to the point where I've been accused of, oh, you trying to control me or you trying to do this. And I'm like, if you really felt like I was trying to control you, why would you be in a relationship with me? And they can't answer it. And it's like, that's the craziest thing. But like I said, it's the damage. But feeling compassion or understanding these women, it does not require you to volunteer to be somebody's therapist because we can't do it. We can't do it. I've tried every method that I could to try to figure it out, to try to figure out how to properly love a damaged woman. And that's one of the hardest things in the world because I'm not a therapist. I even got to the point where I took a life coach course to try to help me figure it out because I really want to understand. I really love my sisters and it's so hard to do it. It's so hard to do it when they're damaged like that. But you cannot, love away trauma. You cannot love away unresolved emotional conflict. You can support healing. You can support her, but you can't love it away. I don't care how much love you show a damaged person. It'll destroy you for the fact that they can't understand it. They can't relate. They don't know how to receive it. But like I said, you cannot do anything as a man if she is not willing to do the work herself. It all starts with her. It all starts with her. And if you try, if you keep trying and keep trying, it'll eventually weigh you down. It'll eventually weigh you down. It will eventually destroy you. And no lie, like it will get you to the point, if you let it, if you allow it, if you stay too long and try to do too much, it will actually get you to the point where you dislike her. And if you stay too long, just like women, when they stay in abusive relationships too long, it will destroy you and make you actually hate her. And that's one thing that I refuse to do, and any other real man refuse to do. So then we get labeled as we're, we not man enough for her. We can't, do nothing with her. We can't. It's all that negativity. But at the end of the day, it's best you leave before it destroys you. Because carrying that weight, and it's not your weight, and you don't understand that weight, it will destroy you. It will destroy you. But to my women, please take this in the most respectable way possible. But you are not damaged. You are not damaged. You are not weak for what happened to you, but you are responsible for getting the help you need and healing yourself. That is your responsibility. We can't do it. As men, we can't do it. I've tried. I've been in relationships where I wanted to go to counseling. I went to counseling, but we can't, like I said, we can't do anything. It's on you. And that starts with admitting that you have a problem. That's the only way you can get to the point where you want to do the work to resolve it. But healing yourself, wanting to be the best version of yourself, is not anything to be ashamed of. It's called leadership, self-leadership. You're always talking about striving to be the best you and living your best life and all of that. So many women out here use those phrases, but they can't because they damaged. And they hiding it and they fighting against it and they don't see the problem and they don't see the issue. Or, they trying to act like it's not there, but it's there. And before you enter a serious commitment, before you enter a serious relationship and destroy, or like y'all say, before you destroy the relationship with your soulmate, get some therapy, get some help. Get some help. Because I'm not going to lie, and I say this with the utmost respect, but I know some women myself who are damaged, and I feel like they missed their soulmate. They missed that person who was for them. They missed that person who was willing to learn how to love them and love them with all they might. And I believe they really missed them because they haven't got the help they need. They haven't been able to admit or see they got a problem and to get the help they need to the point where they can get themselves in a position where they can accept the love that a person has to give. But like I said, learn to regulate your nervous system. Learn, techniques with breathing, learn your personal awareness, learn your triggers. Learn the stuff that triggers you so you can protect yourself against that. Work with yourself to redefine love, because that abuse wasn't love. And I know those people probably said they loved you. I know those people probably said they, respected you. They wanted the best for you, all of that. But that wasn't love. That wasn't love. No intensity, arguing, chaos is not love. It's not love. And you have to retrain yourself to what real love is. You have to retrain yourself to be ready to accept real love. And you have to work to build a secure identity. You have to work to where you get back to really understanding your worth. And just like I said, that's another phrase that women say so much, knowing your worth. But like I said, in that mind state, it's all talk. It sounds good. It sounds so good. But a lot of y'all couldn't be further from the truth and don't even know it. But don't let nobody tell you you don't deserve to be loved properly, that you don't deserve healthy love. But real love, it can't happen without a healed you. It can't happen until you heal. It won't happen until you're healed. You won't be able to receive the love. You won't be able to embrace the love that the right man has for you until you heal yourself. But next, I want to talk about how couples in relationships can overcome this for the people who are already in relationships and dealing with this. But healing inside a marriage or healing inside a relationship, it is possible. But it's going to require therapy. It's going to require couples therapy. It's going to require y'all to establish or reestablish clear structures of communication. It's going to mean y'all sitting down together and really establishing some real boundaries on how far to go during arguments, when to walk away. It's going to require a man who will check in with his woman emotionally to make sure that she's emotionally straight on the regular and stay aware of that. It's going to require really watching how you talk to each other, watching how, you treat each other. And most of all, my fellas, it's going to require so much patience from us, from y'all as fellas. It's going to require so much. Let me say that again. So much patience. But most importantly, it's going to require the women to take ownership of their actions, to take ownership of their emotions, to take ownership of how their mind works. It's going to take some work. But like I said, there are men who will support your growth, but you have to do the work. But let me say this to my fellas. Do not lose yourself. Do not drown yourself trying to rescue her. Do not drown yourself trying to rescue her, because you can't. And if you don't watch it, you can love her to the point where you start losing love for yourself and you start allowing stuff that you wouldn't normally allow in the name of love. You start allowing her to talk to you in ways that you wouldn't normally allow her to talk to you. You start allowing her to treat you in ways that you wouldn't normally let her treat you like that. Like, you can lose yourself. You can lose yourself, but she has to learn to know that you're safe. You have to be a safe space for her. But she has to learn to let you be a safe place. And she had to learn that she can't punish you for what another man did. Ladies, it's not on him. He didn't do it. But marriage can become a place of love and restoration when safety is consistent and ego is removed. And it's going to take some work, but it can be done. It can be done. But let me say this. Again, unresolved trauma creates survival patterns, just like we talked about before. Being raised up in the hood in that survival mode, that survival, that's a whole different mindset. That is a whole different mindset. But if you can heal that trauma, if you can really heal that trauma, it'll open your world up to a whole new, it'll open your eyes, it'll open your mind, it'll open your heart up to a whole new world. No lie, right? I'm not gonna hold y'all too long, but I had to talk about this because this is so important to me. It's so important to me because I believe in traditional, strong Black families. And like, I know we can get them back. I know we can rebuild those, but we have to deal with the trauma. We have to. We have to. And like I said, you cannot build a peaceful relationship. You cannot build a peaceful marriage with a mental or an emotional that still is at war. You can't. It can't be done. It cannot be done. But it don't have to be permanent. It don't have to be permanent. Healing is possible. Restoration is possible. Growth is possible. But it all starts with honesty. It all starts with honesty. And it requires ownership. It requires you to own your issues. It requires you to own your problems. And it requires you to have the courage to do something about it. But like I said, this is the P-Ave Perspective. And we don't avoid the truth. We confront it head on. So we can build stronger people, stronger relationships, stronger marriages, stronger families, and stronger futures. And again, we have to do the work. We have to do the work. But hey, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But I hope y'all really felt me because, like I said, it's a real subject. It's a real subject. And in order for us to be, like I said, strong individuals, build strong families, build strong neighborhoods, and build strong communities, we have to address this type of stuff. We have to, and just so y'all know, next week, God willing, I'm coming back with the men and the unresolved trauma and unresolved issues that a lot of us men deal with. So, like I said, it's no disrespect, it's no harm meant, but we have to talk about this though, because we have to be better. We have to be better. We have to do better. But I'm not gonna hold y'all up no longer. Again, I thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for rocking with me. And hopefully I'll see y'all again next week. But I'm your host, Mr. O'Neill. This has been the P-Ave Perspective. And again, I thank y'all for tuning in and rocking with me. God willing, we'll do it again next week. Take care and have a great weekend.